There we go.
All right, George, you can let me in the
Let you in the what?
You already know, man. It's Deion Dawkins, and you listening to the Real Deal Sports Show on the Beat 105.5.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Saturday morning. It may be a snowy Saturday morning up in western New York, up here in the Rochester, New York area, maybe 4 to 5 inches of snow on the ground. We used to dealing with this snow each year, but as Deion Dawkins say, hey, the show must go on. You already know, everybody. We know how to deal with it. Welcome to Real Deal Sports Show, and welcome to the Real Deal Sports Show, and we're here each week, every Saturday morning, and broadcasting live from the Rock Palm Broker Studios, coming to you live, deal or no deal. Stop on by. Sammy and the crew, they got the deal for you. You make the deal. You make the call. Say what your needs are, and he'll tell you if it's a deal or no deal. Stop on through Rock Palm Brokers. Check them out. Sammy and the crew looking forward for you to come through. Spring is about to be sprung after this brief snow fury. By middle of next week, we should be back into the spring season. So check out Deal or No Deal, Rock Palm Brokers. And let's check out the Buffalo Bills. And we got our right-hand man, the co-host of the show, J-GILLZ, with us this morning. Good morning, J-GILLZ.
Hey, good morning, the Beat family. What it do, man. What a great week. 2 weeks into free agency right now. Some crazy critical moves going on. A lot of great teams, a lot of great moves happening in the AFC and the NFC. We got the tournament going down this weekend. Man, we got everything going on. We got sports of all sorts, and you can only catch it right here on the Beat 105.5.
Absolutely. And speaking, let's get to the Bills right away with some of those moves. Brandon Beane, this is what they seem to be good at, finding guys. The Mike Edwards move, I like the Mike Edwards move, bringing him in, a Super Bowl champion with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, drafted by the Buccaneers, won a Super Bowl with them. Then went on to Kansas City last year, won a Super Bowl with them. He's a guy that he can fill in the holes there at the safety position. He could even start, or you could have him come in to help. But I think he could be starting with Taylor Rapp, or also I think they're going to bring in another safety as well, probably through the draft, or look for a defensive lineman coming in through the draft as well. But I think they're trying to secure the back end, because the back end is the critical part to the Bills' defense of signal calling. It won't be the Poirier and Hyde showing how great they were at disguising the coverages. Now you're going to see some other guys come into that same system and see how they can articulate. And Mike Edwards has been around over 6-7 years in the league. I think he'll be able to help out on that end. Also, offensive side of the ball, they got Will Clapp. They brought him in from the Chargers. He was originally drafted by the New Orleans Saints 7 years ago. These are guys with experience. Will Clapp can play the center and guard position. He started some games for the Chargers last year before his injury. The guy can play two positions. You need somebody that can play the center and guard position on your offensive line as a backup. You figure they may go with McGovern as the center, or they may even go with Clapp as the center, depending on how it goes during training camp, and keep McGovern at guard and keep Will Edwards, David Edwards as the swing tackle. So they're giving themselves some options, J-GILLZ, already with some of these signings. They're not big name guys. The biggest name really is Teron Johnson coming back with the 3-year deal, bringing Teron Johnson back. I think that's one of the better signings, J-GILLZ. Your comments?
Absolutely. When I look at a guy like Mike Edwards, you know what I mean? 5 years in the league, 27 years old, still young, can kind of gel with this secondary. Rasul Douglas, Taylor Rapp, and those guys, and Teron Johnson. He didn't start fully. He started his last season in Tampa Bay. He was able to start, but just being a good rotational piece, having that good rotation, like the Bills have always tried to have in that secondary. So I think he'll be a great addition there. When I look at this offensive line, some pieces were brought in, but I still think you need to solidify. Just probably going to have to draft a lineman, just because right now that swing tackle right now, I'm not sure who's playing that swing tackle just in case of any injuries, but it's limited depth on that offensive line right now. So I think that you're definitely going to have to go to the draft and probably going to have to pick somebody up on the interior or on the tackle, anywhere on the line. But ultimately, when it comes down to having a guy like Josh Allen on your team, you're not asking for much. With his contract, I don't believe they still restructured his contract yet. Have they, Radman? I don't think they.
Yes, they have. They have restructured his contract.
So it's still limited assets. You're in that second wave of free agency, going into that third week of free agency. So now we're seeing the type of guys that are available. They're limited. You couldn't get a guy like a Justin Simmons who will be profound on this back secondary. But I think ultimately, when you got a guy like Josh Allen, you just put the puzzle pieces in, and it's on his team, it's on his shoulders, and we're going to see exactly where he can take the Bills this upcoming season.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder what's going on. What's going on with the Bills on that line? Because you're right. I think there's going to be plenty of free agency guys that are veteran guys that's still going to be available even when the season starts. But you want to get some solidify that through the draft and work on getting more guys, get you another guard, get you another tackle on that offensive line, definitely. And on the defensive front, the Bills secured Daquan Jones and J-GILLZ. Let's go. We're going to go to the interview with Daquan Jones and hear what he has to say about coming back to the Buffalo Bills. George Radley, Challenger Community News. How you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. I just want a question for you. You kind of answered it there a little bit. With new people coming in, does that change the terminology, or are they going to have to gain the terminology that you guys are used to having, especially from those two veteran guys, Poyer and Hyde, for so many years, having them on the back end? How do you think that's going to work?
I mean, the terminology is the terminology, whatever the coaches emphasize or whatever the DB's communications are. I don't think that really changes. They might have their own little concept that might change it. I mean, Poyer and Micah playing together probably have their own little, words they did with each other. That's one of the benefits of signing contracts and being with someone for so long. You kind of build unspoken chemistry and kind of you can change stuff up a little bit. So it's going to be definitely a learning curve for new guys coming in to understand what the terminology, what the Bills want, and at the same time understanding what you and your other safety and your corners are going to communicate with each other.
All right. And how is it working out now with coming back from that injury, from that torn pec? Does that change how you work out, how you lift and do that lifting so that you don't re-injure yourself during training in the off season?
I mean, for me, I've been training now for a month, and I've been kind of going full go, just been training. I haven't really thought about it at all. Haven't had no issue with it, so I'm just not even thinking about it. I'm just training and making sure that my body's in the best shape it can be, and make sure I'm doing the right things, going forward.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time, and good luck this upcoming season.
Thank you.
Yes, J-GILLZ. Well, thank you, Daquan Jones, coming on the show this morning. We're coming over from that interview. But one thing, he definitely needs a little assistance there. I mean, coming back, it's obviously they're coming up with some new medical procedures to help heal a torn rotator cuff, because usually those guys don't come back until the following season.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen that injury being medical league being able to deal with it and be able to get players back on the field, which is man, almost a miracle in the medical field that people are not really speaking of, because a torn pec muscle that's usually very difficult to heal and come back. And you heard him say that he's back to his regular lifting routines and everything.
Absolutely. And I think when I look at a guy like Daquan Jones, I think the Bills did right by Daquan Jones, having that injury earlier on in the last season, being able to come back, be a vital piece in the playoffs, try and get that pairing together, him and Ed Oliver, for years to come. I think that's going to be very important for the Buffalo Bills defensive line. And then to get him for that amount of money, 2 years, $16 million, average of $8 million, under $10 million guaranteed. I think that's really a steal if you think about it. I think that this is still a great defensive draft. This is a great defensive line draft. You still got some Trevonde Sweat from Texas. My God, the massive 6'7", 350-pounder. It's still guys available. If you did want to go defensive tackle, some great guys to go. But ultimately, I think Daquan Jones will be a huge asset for the Buffalo Bills.
I agree. And you mentioned Sweat there, and you're right. There's several guys. And I think the fortunate thing is a lot of people are looking at offense. You're seeing these quarterbacks, people talking about maybe 4 to 6 quarterbacks being taken in the first round, which is unbelievable that you're going to take. You're going to take
when
a
are they going to learn
next.
their lessons, right, man? You had Zach Wilson. You had Trey Lance. You know what I mean? Mac Jones. None of these guys are starting in the league right now, all top 5 picks. You got to stop getting these quarterbacks if they're not going to be in the best situation. I'm tired of seeing it, right, man? Everywhere in the league, you get a guy, you're not set up to have the guy. You even got a guy like Justin Fields right now going for a 6th-round pick. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah.
You got to get these guys in position. Look at Brock Purdy. That's the outlier, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft. He was able to get in the right system and get it done. But you got to surround these guys with pieces to get it done.
And one thing that seems to be a thing, and we'll even discuss it in the basketball segment coming up later on in the show. These guys that play 4 years, like Brock Purdy started all 4 years. He played that position. So he played, he had to deal with a lot of different things where some of these guys don't play, get a chance to play 4 years of college football, and you just get a glimpse of them, but you don't get to see them under all different types of situations, playing in the cold weather, playing in the warm weather, playing in the rain, playing in all different weather, and all different conditions and things of that nature. And these guys just fall in love with some of these guys. Like you just named 3 or 4 guys that's top picks. And what about the guy with Tampa Bay just re-signed, Baker Mayfield? He was the number 1 pick.
Right.
But fortunately for him, it took him 4 to 5, 6 years, and that's the way it used to be. Quarterbacks used to sit behind the starter, and then the draft pick guys would learn from the starting quarterbacks, and then when they got their turn, their 3rd or 4th year in the league, then they would start showing some, like a Aaron Rodgers, showing how you play, a Tom Brady. You guys start learning and they get to play behind somebody so they can learn. You just don't throw them to the wolves right away. Mm-hmm. You pay them. That's your fault paying these guys this ridiculous amount of money, because none of these guys deserve the kind of money they were getting paid right now, except for guys like who earned it at the time, like an Aaron Rodgers, a Tom Brady, guys coming through at that time period. And producing on the field. You're paying guys before they even produce, before they even do anything, J-GILLZ.
Absolutely. And it's the only position, quarterback is the only position in the NFL where you're getting paid off potential. Everything else is where you have to earn it. Quarterback's the only position where you're getting paid off potential. Look at a guy like Daniel Jones. Look at a guy like Kirk Cousins off an Achilles injury. You know what I mean? Only one playoff game. Look at a guy like Dak Prescott. Getting paid off potential in the market when they haven't earned it, but they still getting these massive dollars. And then letting guys like a Saquon Barkley walk from your organization, who's really the backbone and foundation of your organization. It's absurd. And then the teams and the fan bases get mad when a guy like Saquon Barkley goes to the Eagles instead of the Giants, a division rival, or when a guy like Jordan Poyer goes to the Dolphins. You know what I mean? These players have no loyalty to these organizations, and I'm not blaming them because these organizations have no loyalty to these players.
No, and you mentioned Saquon Barkley. What was wrong with Tiki Barber? I mean, Tiki Barber, I don't know. I know you're an announcer. You're on radio. You're doing your thing. You're a good announcer. You're a good football player. You and your brother Rondé both were good quality football players. But for you to come back talking about the guy's dead to me because he's not loyal to the Giants, who you stayed loyal to and played to all those years under various contracts, and now it's a whole different ball game. And you acting like Tiki Barber acting like Saquon Barkley was supposed to be loyal to the Giants when the Giants weren't loyal to him. They paid the quarterback before they paid him.
The quarterback.
He made the quarterback. You're right. He made the quarterback. Quarterback would be nothing. Daniel Jones would be nothing.
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, and for Tiki Barber to be a running back, know the grinds of a running back. What you got to do during the offseason, what you got to do during the season, and then also perform on the field. For you to insult a man like that, I thought that was totally outrageous and totally disgraceful that he took a turn and did that type of comments about Saquon Barkley. I think Tiki Barber, you got to tone it down a little bit and realize it's a different era. You ain't got to kiss the ring of the owner of the team or the people, the franchise. If they're not treating you right, now you can move on. Just like in college sports, now you can move on with the mill. What other it's Nick Saban. Man, what a character, Nick Saban. People need to call Nick Saban out on the carpet, man. How you gonna go to Congress and testify that it's wrong for the young college players to get paid? He actually said it on the, and then he said him and his wife would have the boys over to their house, have a barbecue, a cookout, do some line dancing and everything with the kids. And, you know, as long as I got my $10 million a year, you know, as long as I'm the highest paid coach. But now, wait a minute, Congress. You can't let these young boys get paid like this. He actually said that, testified at Congress a few weeks ago, saying that the young kids should not be paid. So now the man that took the cloak off his head, he took the hood off his head, J-GILLZ. Nick Saban showed you what he's all about.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we're in a new generation. We're in a new era right now. You know, I just heard stories of a guy like Travis Hunter, the crossover cornerback receiver for the Colorado Boulders over there with Dion. He just bought his mom a house. You know, he's a projected top 5 pick in next year's draft, 2025. This guy hasn't even gotten drafted yet, but the NIL money in which he's receiving right now, he's getting paid a lot more than half the guys in the league already. You know, so things are shifting over. You look at a girl like Angel Reese, LSU. You know what I mean? Her NIL money is through the roof. Whether she declares or not, she's going to be getting paid. So it's a new era, and a lot of these guys, you know, they're stuck in their ways. A lot of these old timers are stuck in their ways. They're not liking the NIL. They're not liking the transfer portal, and really, it's because they're losing control. They're losing control, and these kids who have the talent, these kids who, you know, most of them, you know, they have parents or mentors or leaders in their life, you know, who can mold them and create them to who they need to be. So really, these coaches are losing control, and that's really what it boils down to. These coaches are upset. They're mad. These kids you know, it's a new era, right, man? So we got to give them their credit where it's due. So when a guy like Nick Saban, he going to hate. Nick Saban going to hate. He just mad. You know, the reason he quit anyways was because of the transfer portal. You know, he lost the control.
Right. He can't treat the kids any way he wants to. If you heard him in Congress and heard what he said, oh man, we take your kids to our house and we open up our house and we have a big cookout. We go cater the cook. Man, you cater it. You're making $10 million a year, Nick. Exactly. I think you can afford to feed 70 to 100 people, Nick. I think making 10 grand a year, being the highest paid person in the state of Alabama, money-wise, you getting paid more than anybody else in the state employee system of Alabama, man. Yeah, I guess you can feed 100 young boys and make it sound like they don't know what they're doing. Man, Nick, I was so disgusted with Nick Saban, and I've always thought something was up with that guy. And he wasn't on the up and up, y'all. He came, y'all let him come to your churches and to your yards and did his line dance and take your son to Alabama. And then all he wanted to do was just make that big money and keep that money coming. That's why he learned that to do the line dance and all of that and the electric slide and all swaying back and forth and loving the mac and cheese and the ribs at your kids' graduation party, backyard cookouts. When Nick came to your house, oh man, it was smart. Nah, man. Nick had ulterior motives, and he let everybody know in America what he was down with at Congress a few weeks ago, because they're trying to get Congress to stop the nil. Now when the white man's making the money, everything's cool. Now when the kids, black and brown people making some money, it's a problem. We gotta get the government. We gotta get government to regulate this. Wait a minute, they didn't regulate you, Nick, at the electric slide party, man. Exactly. Where was that, Nick Saban? We didn't regulate you. We didn't regulate you, man. That's who should have been regulated. You just let us all know at Congress, telling us about you and your wife throwing the parties for the kids, and the kids are so needy. Oh, you should hear this guy, man. Oh, you wouldn't think he was talking to preschoolers, man. Are you a preschool teacher, Nick? Are you an educator? Oh, come on, Nick. Oh,
how many times are we gonna have to see guys like Rick Pitino and these coaches? You know what I mean? With how irresponsible have they been with these kids, and then you're getting mad at the kids, man. Make it make sense.
Make it make sense. What you mad at the kids for? Oh my God! Hey, like us, comment, like us, comment, everybody. Subscribe to the show. Like, comment, and subscribe to us on YouTube at Real Deal Sports Show. Hit the bell icon to receive notifications of when we're on with special up-to-date shows. And remember, you still can see the Vegas. It was so much going on in Las Vegas, Nevada during Super Bowl week. There's so many interviews on YouTube. Check out some of the Mary interview, the Kirk Franklin, just to name a few. J-GILLZ, you were part of so many of those great interviews, historic interviews that took place during Super Bowl week. So check out those on YouTube as well. So yeah, you gotta see why these old timers just get out the game. Let new coaches come in, let them deal with the players, and let them let these players make some money. Let these guys, like you said, Travis Hunter. Now he didn't go to Alabama, did he? No, he went to not Colorado. Where did he start out at? Jackson State. He started at that little Jackson State. And remember all the headaches he caught, said, well, why are you going to a black college? Why are you going to HBCU? You one of the best tight ends. Shouldn't you be at Alabama or Notre Dame or somewhere, one of the big SEC schools? No, he chose to go to with Deion Sanders. He joined Deion down there at Jackson State. And now Deion obviously has moved on to Colorado, the Colorado Buffaloes. He's down there with Colorado. But it doesn't now, J-GILLZ, it doesn't matter how many games your team win or lose. It's really about your promotion, the nils for these young people. You got a lot of young people that a lot of people like you, a lot of people may have never heard of Travis Hunter because he's in a school that's kind of obscure to us here on the East Coast, Colorado, playing for the Colorado Buffaloes. But this young man, as you just said, was able to buy his mom a home and help out his family. It's about ownership. These young people are taking ownership with this nil program, and the government needs not to get involved and allow these young people to, as long as they're doing the right thing and spending the money on the right things and helping their family move to the next level and giving generational wealth to their families, like Nick Saban been doing for the last 50 years. Let the Travis Hunters of the world help their family, help their communities out, and make it a much better place to live. Right, J-GILLZ?
Absolutely. Dude, stop playing with their money, because guess what? Caitlin Clark getting her money too, and I bet y'all don't care about that. No, you don't hear nobody talking about her getting her money. They care about the Travis Hunters getting that money.
And that's the focal point of the argument. And that's why they now keep an eye on it, everybody. They still at the government, trying to get the government involved in this. Let's see what the NCAA is trying to do with this money, because they trying to find a way to not allow the Travis Hunters of the world to make the decisions and be able to have nil and make some money. Matter of fact, I just saw a kid. I didn't know who he was. I saw him all week long on this Subway commercial. A kid named Beacott for North Carolina. I said, oh, he's a basketball player. And then I finally saw him play yesterday, and I realized I seen him play a couple years ago. He's been with North Carolina when they won it, when they lost to Kansas. He was on that team that lost to Kansas a few years in the national championship game. So why not allow a guy like Beacott to do a Subway commercial, if that's it, and allow him to make some money, and allow some of these other players to make some money? I mean, I'm glad to see it. I mean, you see new faces. I said, who is this kid? He's standing there with the Subway sandwich talking, man. I'm like, oh, man. He went North Carolina. Okay. They at the end, you had to see him. They showed him in his uniform playing at the end near the end of the commercial. But it was nice to see a fresh face. And why can't he help his family and make some money all at the same time, J-GILLZ? Obviously, he must be a popular person that Subway chose him to promote their sandwiches and so forth. So it's amazing. And keep in mind, we're sponsored by Challenger Community News, largest weekly African-American newspaper, published weekly. Get a chance to pick up this week's Challenger, published on March 21st. You got the lovely Warren announces her running for return to politics. My Brother's Keepers. Hey, My Brother's Keepers, you cats here in Rochester, New York, keep doing what you're doing. Keep up the coordinator of the rock group coordinator of the Rock MAK program and his mentors. Y'all went to New York State and did a presentation at the New York State Association of Black and Puerto Rican Hispanic Caucus, as we used to know them back in the day, the Black and Hispanic Caucus. They made presentations there. Read about that in this week's Challenger Community News. Also read about, I love Barbara Banks, the owner of the paper, and I love her so much for all these years. the Black History segment. Every week she does Black History throughout the year in the Challenger Community News. The main fact, an African American woman is the mother of all of humanity, and that came out recently on the Finding Your Roots show when that Lupita Nyong'o, the young actress was on, and they found her roots, and they found that her roots, her DNA was done by Henry Louis Gates, and it dates back. She came directly related to the mitochondria Eve, the oldest human DNA strain on Earth. That she's related. She comes from that strain of the oldest strain. You hear me, y'all? The human DNA strain on Earth. This young actress comes from that strain, and it was an African black woman where everything started from. So read that article in this week's challenge, because y'all, we gotta know our history, because we gotta know where we're going, not where we're coming from. We gotta know where we're coming from and where we got to go. So read that article on Black History. Also, article I wrote that ran this week, the Johnny Cochran Salute to Excellence. Learn about some of our past heroes, and also Sandra Douglas Morgan, the new president of the Las Vegas Raiders. The brief interview I had with her at the Johnny Cochran Salute to Excellence. Mel Blount was excellent. Had a chance to get the former Steeler from the Steel Curtain, get his comments and everything. That's all in this week's Challenger Community News. So check out Challenger, thechallengernews.com. Go to editor at thechallengernews.com or editorial at thechallengernews.com. Send in your articles. We'll run your article, publish your events and things. Holy Week coming up. Reverend Harvey got a big shindig going on all week long at his church at 5 a.m. Monday through Friday. Read about that in this week's Challenger Community News. Every week, the Challenger is packed with news you can use in the African American community. No matter where you are, check it out each week. And also, our award-winning insurance agent, Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency, auto, home, health, and life insurance. 1038 Lyle Avenue or 511 Bean Road, Suite B. Give her a call, 585-360-0094. Give her a call, and she will be able to, I guarantee you, she'll find a price that's right for you and your family to fit your budget. She found out for me. She helped me and my family save a hell of a lot of money. So let's save you and your family a hell of a lot of money, too. As you know, everything is high. Bread costs almost $5 a loaf. If you want to save some money, check out award-winning Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency. She'll help you with your auto, your home, health, and life insurance. Once again, 1038 Lyle Avenue, 511 Bean Road, Suite B. Call her. If you call outside the area code 585-360-0094. Give her a call. And now, J-GILLZ, who do we have coming on the show next? Who's our next guest? We're going to go to a warm. I don't think it's snowing down in Houston, Texas, J-GILLZ.
Oh, no, definitely ain't snowing. You already know, friend of the show, especially this time of year with the men's tournament, the women's tournament. Man, we got the big dog, Mr. Chris Gardner, Houston Roundball in the building. Welcome, Chris, to the Beat 105.5.
Brothers, how y'all doing this morning, man? I like this. I love being surrounded by. We're making Black history every day. Let's keep doing it.
That's a fact. Man, but when we look at this tournament, Chris, my God, you know, it's not a lot of surprises going on. These number one seeds are dominating early from Houston, your boys, UNC, Purdue, Connecticut. I mean, blowouts completely. You know, what's your take so far on this year's men's tournament?
Matchups, play a key part in the tournament. It's one and done, clearly. Houston, top one seeds, represented and show why they are the number one seeds and why 16 seeds are the 16 seeds. Sometimes it's very rare. It has happened the last, twice, last few years for a 16 seed to be the one, but it's still a very rare thing. The Cougars beat Longwood Lancers by 40 Friday night. Offense was rolling. But I'm looking forward to it. You know, there are a few upsets. Hello, Kentucky. Bye, Kentucky. Things like that.
That was one. That was one of them ones.
Is Calipari just stealing money? Is he a Nick Saban? He down there just stealing money from the school? Because that's insane. I remember I grew up. Kentucky was a powerhouse when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s. They always Jack Givens, that Joe B. Hall, the head coach. Oh man, they were always pounding people. They were beating people by 30 points and all that. What has Calipari done to that program, Chris?
But Brad, man, I say it like this: is Cal stealing if they give him the money? I mean, they're giving him the money.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I mean, from that perspective, he's underachieved. He's refusing to adapt to the changing college basketball landscape. I was gonna say semi-pro, but college basketball landscape. But he's gone with the freshmen, and in this day of transfers and the portal, these youngsters are going against grown men on other college teams who have more experience. They're bigger in some cases. They're stronger. They don't get rattled. They're not, oh, you're a 5-star kid, so what? Take the 3 in your eye, keep on moving kind of stuff. And then Kentucky's defense this season was it was so inconsistent, man. And a lot of times it was bad. It wasn't. The games they won and when they beat better teams was because of their defense. But when they lost, boy, their defense took naps, man. It was just really, really, really high school level sometimes, if that.
And that's what it seemed like yesterday or the day before. They were just they were. It looked like they just was trying not to win. They had opportunities. They just couldn't. They just couldn't get it done. And they were just seemed to be at least Calipari just. I don't know. He just seemed like he don't care. Like with Bruce Pearl, when his team lost, you could just see he was about to cry. He took it personally. His team losing the way they lost, especially when they're at the free throw line where their guys are 83% free throw shooters and couldn't make free throws at the end of that game to tie that game up. But I thought sure they were going to tie it up and go ahead and win that contest. But Bruce Pearl just showed the emotion of a coach that wants to win. Calipari was like, oh, hey, man, I'm here to get these guys to the pros and just say, we like it didn't. And then what is it? They 1 win and 4 losses in their last 5 tournament games. I mean,
something like that.
Yeah,
they did win a game in the SEC tournament a couple weeks ago. So their postseason success, they had none this year. No win in the NCAA, no win in the SEC. And speaking of the SEC, 8 teams in, 5 are gone already. Woo. So, Mr. Sankey, how you like that? Mr. Well, I think we got to get rid of the auto bids, and we need more schools from power conferences because it's not good for the sport to have the underdogs winning. Take those 5 L's, Sankey. You keep on moving. Yep.
Wow, I would think most people would think just the opposite, that it's better for the underdog to win some of the time. And now they're winning most of the time in some of these situations, especially in the Kentucky. No matter who they play, Kentucky play, Oakland or whoever the school that most people may not have heard of, those teams seem to be. They 1-4. So, and then like you said, it just showed you that they put a lot of teams in there just for name, like you just said, Chris, for name only, huh? Not for what they've done on the court.
Most people aren't, Mr. Sankey. Mr. Sankey understands that the more of his teams in the SEC make the tournament, they get more units and more money for the conference. He's doing a power grab in football. He wants to do a power grab in men's basketball. He's all about the money. He's changed his mindset in the last few years where it's all about dollars. Just because you have a lot of pull and leverage, i.e. in football, SEC and the Big Ten, doesn't mean you should always toss it around. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Like football now. Well, we want to have guaranteed auto bids for. Well, if y'all are so good, why do you have an automatic bid? Just win in the playoffs and get there. Oh well, we don't want to do it. No, please.
No, you're right. It shouldn't be auto bids. That's too. To me, that 12 or 14. That's way too many college teams for football. It needs to be 8. I can see 8, but that's way too much. You got these college kids playing almost a year, a professional season, really, to play that many games.
Come on, Red, man. It is professional. That's what I said, semi-pro. Spring football has started. I think it started this week. The spring game for some of these bigger programs, like in Alabama, will have 90,000 fans in attendance for a spring football scrimmage. What are you there to cheer? I mean, why fans are so hooked and convinced that they cannot live without college football, that they will spend $10, $15 for a spring exhibition event. Whereas, what is it? Red against white, orange against gray, 90,000, 100,000. What are y'all doing? But hey, that's where the money is. And folks in charge, these fans will buy anything we put out there on the field. So let's just keep on doing it. Let's go to expand the 12 playoffs. Let's go to 14. They're going to keep spending the money. Let's keep on doing it.
That's sad. I hope that that's the trend. That's where it's headed. You're right, Chris. That's where it's headed right now with the I went on a rant earlier about Nick Saban going down to Congress. What's your comments on him going to Congress and letting you know how he really feel about the young people? He wants to control the money, the purse strings. He wants him and the schools to still control it and not let the players get anything really, except for him and his wife having a cookout in their backyard with some electric slide and some line dancing going on. That's all he wants to give the kids.
It's not a surprise. Many of the older generation coaches, football and basketball, have those comments where they don't want the student assets. That's what I say. The student assets, not the student athletes, the student assets. I don't work for a school, so I tell it like it is. Student assets to get paid. Get the NIL money. And we're how are we going to afford this? Well, if you don't pay your coach $10 million a year or $12 million a year to be a head coach, again, who are the fans paying money to see? The coach, the head coach, or the players?
No, the players, hands down.
Then why is the head coach getting $10 million a year, and then in the case of Calipari, not doing anything with all that talent? But some of those same fans, well, I don't want these players to get money. Why are they getting? That's what they have a scholarship for. The scholarship, come to the real world, people. Don't let what these folks have told y'all for 50, 60, 70 years about the scholarship is the value for the student. Please, folks. I mean, if I can go there if we want to. Some of these same folks are up in arms because the majority of the Division I players in football and basketball look like us.
Yep.
That's the problem with some of these folks. Oh, I don't want these kids to get money. I don't want. Oh,
absolutely.
No.
That's
their job is to just satisfy me, entertain me on Saturday in football. That's all I want you to do. I want to get an education. No. You're not here to get an education. You're here to play football for me. That's all I want you to do. But I want to get my degree. No. You take these made up courses, but just come on Saturday. You play football. You tote that ball. That's what some of these folks still have in mind.
And Chris, just a quick question as we're on this topic, just shifting a bit away. When we talk about, the students taking these made-up classes, let's talk about a group of guys back to the tournament who definitely are in it for the education but making major moves. Can we talk about Yale and their defeat over Auburn? What's your thoughts on Yale?
Oh, I think it's great. It's another example of a smaller, an Ivy League school, but a smaller, non-power team winning because they're getting an opportunity. That's what the tournament is supposed to be about, giving teams opportunities. The smaller schools, especially in basketball, is easier because not as many players, but giving them a chance to compete and win based on your merit, your skills. That's the beauty of March Madness. But some greedy folks want to take that away from those smaller programs and add more of those 500 record teams from the power schools because they think, well, that's what the fans want to see. No, that's not. That's not what the fans want to see. I don't want to see an 18-18 Oklahoma team make the tournament. What good does that do me? But that's what they want to convince fans of. Well, we were 500 in the best conference in basketball, so we deserve a spot. Okay, you were 500. 500. That means you were average. I want a team who was 32-4. Give them a shot to make the tournament.
Absolutely.
I go on and on.
Hopefully, we'll be able to keep those teams, the Yales and these teams coming in from these other smaller conferences to keep them in because this is what makes the tournament for sure. And let's switch over to the women's tournament for a little bit. Who do you see as some of the top teams having a chance to win the women's tournament coming up that just started?
South Carolina. South Carolina.
Hands down, huh?
South Carolina.
Man.
And salute to Dawn Staley and the job she's doing, has done, continues to do, because she has convinced other 5-star players to come off the bench for South Carolina. She tells them in recruiting, you're going to have to earn your time here. read an article, I think it was in The Athletic, I think yesterday or earlier this week, about her recruiting pitch to get some of these top-tier talented players. Dawn Staley has one of the best recruiting classes the last 3-4 years. And now she's getting some elite transfers to come there, in the portal. She tells all of them, your playing time is up to you. If you don't get on the court, that's your fault.
Wow, and that's amazing. And she also is one of the few. It's only a handful of coaches that's receiving 18 head coaches in women's basketball receiving $1 million or more. And Dawn Staley's one of them, receiving $3.1 million. And she's saying now the salaries, she's going after the assistant coaches, want to beef up the money to the assistant coaches. So the assistants have to be able to make that kind of money, the good ones, to grow the sport. And I felt even with Dawn Staley when they had the little pushing and shoving match between LSU and South Carolina a few weeks ago, she said, hey, this is not what it's about. Don't focus on that. Focus on the game, the players, the quality of the game. And the game of women's basketball, there's a lot more good players out there. And for her to graduate her class last year and come back with this class of an undefeated regular season already going into the tournament, and then they crushed somebody last night, man. I don't know who they 91 to 30 something. Man, that was God, they didn't even ease up on them, man. Whoever that was, but for her she's just a class act
out there starting center.
That's right.
Cardoso was suspended for the first game because of the shove in the SEC tournament championship game. And let's contrast the head coaches. Dawn Staley and her response and reaction to that skirmish between LSU and South Carolina compared to Coach Mulkey. Well, Cardoso should have picked on someone her own size. Let them fight. You're a grown woman. You're supposed to be the adult for your program, and you're pushing for a more physical confrontation. But to her audience, you tell them, coach. To that audience, that's what she does. She's been that way for years. Yeah. And I can go on another tangent about, I wonder why so many parents of players send their daughters to play for that woman because of how she treated some of her former players. But that's a whole other story. But Dawn Staley, she keeps it real. She's an advocate for other African-American women, her staff, and for the game of women's basketball. Coach Mulkey seems to be more about herself. And Chris,
I don't know. I go back to the era when I remember when she played Kim Mulkey with the Lady Texters, and they won some championships and so forth because she was the point guard on that team. They had a great center that was the Karl Malone, the female version, and they would dominate back then. But she got into some fights on the court. She got down with that long ponytail, and she was throwing all kinds of haymakers. So I remember seeing her fight. So, I mean, the fighting
she's very feisty, very feisty. Oh, yeah, no doubt.
She will fight you, and she looked like she's still that same way today, and she didn't take the high road on that one. But as you continue on, I like how Notre Dame is playing. Coach Ivy, who deserved to get that job there at Notre Dame, and she's doing a hell of a job with that team. Hidalgo, her point guard, is really man, she's putting on
Hannah Hidalgo is one of a great group of freshman players in women's college basketball. Hannah Hidalgo, Juju out of USC.
Oh yeah.
Audie Crooks from Iowa State. Audie Crooks scored 40 yesterday in Iowa State's win over Maryland. Madison Booker at Texas. I mean, there are so many. Malaysia Fulwali at South Carolina. So many.
Asia Fair, Syracuse.
Syracuse. She's not a freshman. But, I mean, there's so many talented players in women's college basketball. And if I can, fellas, I'm going to be petty. For my man, Max Edison, may he rest in peace. I'm going to be petty. Toss a rock.
Okay.
So much talent in women's college basketball, but not at my alma mater, the University of Houston. Struggling. The struggle is real for women's basketball at Houston. This. Because I know I'm short on time with you guys. Okay. In case I didn't know. Always remember this. When you see the Houston Cougars men's team, okay, you see them play Sunday against Texas A&M. Keep this in mind. Kelvin Sampson has been there 10 years. Ronald Huey, women's coach at Houston, has been there 10 years.
Hmm.
How many times have you seen Houston women's team in the tournament in those 10 years?
0.
Thank you. 0.
Man.
And yet he still has a job.
He still has a job. He must know the right people there in Houston, man.
You said it, I didn't. You said it, I didn't.
Man, he
10
might
years.
Good gracious. And they haven't made the tournament. Yeah, something's wrong with that picture there. Hopefully that, man, they can get him or get rid of him and get things changed there, because there's no way in the world.
And he'll be back. It sounds like he'll be back for an 11th season.
Oh, my gosh. He must be down there filling derricks or somewhere, man, hanging out there in Houston, man. He know all the right folks, man. That's what it sounds like down there in the Houston area. But Chris, how you think with Houston coming up against Texas A&M? Just got about a minute left.
Oh man, it should be a great matchup. They faced off in December at Toyota Center where the Rockets play.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 4-point game. Houston led by 21, as much as 21. And then Wade Taylor, the fourth for the Aggies, just went off. Got hot in the second half. Started raining threes from all over the place. Contested threes. So looking forward to it. Wade Taylor, Manny Obaseki. The Aggies have 3 guards that could give Houston's defense some trouble. So looking forward to a great matchup on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Great, and we look forward to having you back. Hopefully next week we'll have you back to give an update on both the men and the women brackets as we continue with the NCAA tournament. Thank you, Chris Gardner. Houston Ground Ball Review. Check him out.
Y'all guys, thank you as always. Take care.
Have a great day. And J-GILLZ, with coming back once again. There's still, remember, we're live in the Rock Palm Broker studio, broadcasting live from the Rock Palm Broker studio. How about Shohei baseball? We got to get to baseball in the closing moments here. Hey, man, the Dodgers didn't even know the man was married until recently. He showed up with a woman there at the clubhouse and said that's his wife and said he's been married. Now, if the Dodgers didn't even know the man was married, and now you got $4.5 million being paid to a sports bookie, online sports bookie. And first they saying it's the interpreter, and then the interpreter said, "Oh yeah, that's me." And so you coming on live saying you stealing money from your boy, but keep in mind they're childhood friends. So when you got childhood friends involved, there's a lot of factors in there. You don't know how this guy helped Ohtani back in the day, and Ohtani maybe servant say, "Hey man, I owe you, man. I owe you one on this one. Hey, I'm making this. How much you done lost? Oh damn, man. Okay, I'll pay your bill." He could have paid it. But it doesn't look right, does it, J-GILLZ?
No, it's not looking right at all, man. It's not looking right at all. From what I know, I mean, they got 2 wire transfers in Ohtani's name, $500,000 apiece, equating to $1 million. However, they're talking about a $4 million theft, so I'm not sure. It's about a $3 million, it's about $3 million gap right there that we just need a little bit more information on. It's unfortunate, but you never know, man. You never know. This is translator. Ohtani still ain't speaking any English. Can't nobody talk to him in English. It's just messy, man. It's all over the place. So it's baseball. It's giving some spice to sport for sure.
And he's the face of Major League Baseball. He's the face of the game. He's on those video game on the cover of that. He's on all those commercials you see promoting baseball. You see him hitting the ball, smiling and grinning. He can smile, man. The guy can smile. He can smile and grin. But then, like you said, I'm just starting thinking. When he can smile and grin, man. The guy, he can smile and grin with the best of them. But man, the Dodgers didn't even know the man was married. If you don't even know the man married, and don't even know if he, I never seen him with a woman in all the years he was with the Angels. They never showed him going out on the town with his woman or nothing. Or, you ain't never seen him with no woman. You always seen him with the interpreter, and they hanging out. And then the guy says he'll speak for like a minute, Ohtani, to the interpreter, and then the interpreter said, "Oh, he says he's cool with that." I said, wait a minute, man. That man said a lot more than that, man. What man? He talked for damn near a minute. That's all he had to. Yeah, man. It's something, man. It's something up with that, man. You gotta see. They're gonna investigate. We'll see what happens, but it's a shame. You got him the face of the game, and now, now you got a gambling. He's tied to gambling. $4.5 million, man. That's a lot of bread. That's some kind of backspin money right there, man. Oh my gosh, man. Spending that kind of bread, man. That's a lot. That's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
They got that, man. They got that.
Backspin.
I'm not in that tax bracket.
Not yet, man. But
Don't
you
be
the
putting
hardest,
that false narrative out there, George.
the hardest working man I know. He everywhere with a show. All across international, he on the boat with all the DJs and all the historians of hip hop.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. That's coming back up in November. The ship is sold out once again.
Wow.
Rock the Bells cruise. I'm excited.
Yes, indeed. And it sounds like we talked the other day. You're not too excited about those Cowboy moves, the Cowboys right now.
What moves? What moves, George? What moves, George? What Cowboy moves? I mean,
they lost Tony Pollard.
Yeah, we done lost Tony Pollard. Didn't pick up Derrick Henry. I'm at a loss for words, man. I don't know what's going on with our organization. I don't know what's going on with that front office. What I do know is it's not looking good for Cowboy fans. You know what I'm saying? Like us as fans, I don't know how long we can put up with this, man. I really don't.
And yeah, Jerry's showing his true colors, letting everybody go. Derrick Henry lives in the Texas area, in the Dallas area, I believe he does. So, and for you not to go after him,
cheap. Just don't understand it, man.
That says a lot right there. Not going after him.
Meanwhile, Philly is just becoming more and more Super Bowl contenders every season. They lose a guy like Kelsey and pick up a guy like Saquon. It's like, come on, man. Like, they're making all the right moves, and we're just watching like twiddling our thumbs. I just don't get it.
And Washington's getting better. The Commanders picked up a lot of Cowboys, and probably
everybody's getting better. Everybody has had some sort of upgrade in our division, except for us.
The Giants, Brian Burns, and
I mean,
him and Thibodeau should be a heck of a tandem.
What are you gonna do? We don't even got nobody to compliment CeeDee Lamb. Got rid of Gallup. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what the hell is going on with my organization, man. But
it was almost like
they figure it out. They're like, the draft is coming. The draft is coming. You always got to coach somebody up, but how long does it take to do that? You know, can't do it in one season. You know what I mean? They're not that type of player. So hey man, all I can do is express my frustrations here on the Real Deal Sports Show because you guys know how it feels.
Yep.
You being a Buffalo fan, you being a Miami Dolphin fan, like y'all know my pain. You feel my pain. I know you do. Do.
Oh, yes, we do. Yes, we do. How not to run an organization? Why not more teams follow the blueprint of the Philadelphia Eagles? They definitely seem to know. Howie Rosen and his crew, they over there in Philly, they know what they're doing. They know how to get rid of players when you need to, keep guys, and they got guys retire. Travis, not Travis, but the Jason Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, both retired, longtime Eagles, and they replaced them already with some viable quality players. So that's what you got to do as a franchise. Keep the good guys, get the marginal guys, get rid of them, make deals, and they got rid of one head coach, brought in another head coach. The coach is doing well now with the players. They had him on the hot seat, and hey, if he didn't say the right thing, they might have fired him and brought somebody else in. So they don't stick with they're not sticking to the status quo. The Philadelphia, that's what they don't do.
Well, the bottom line is they're getting better, and we're not. So we got to do something about that. But
absolutely,
we're running out of time, fellas.
Thank you so much, Buffalo 10. We always dedicate the show to you. We salute you, and also Jessica Petway, the influencer for arts and beauty and so forth. We dedicate the show to you and your untimely passing recently. Jessica Petway and Buffalo 10, we always dedicate the show to you, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
No doubt. Real Deal Sports Show, J-GILLZ, Fanatic, the Rad Man. We'll check in next week. You guys have a great weekend. Keep it where you need it, Rock City. The Bag of Time Mix Show is on the way right here on the beat.